What's up everyone? Today I'm going to be making a life-size bear sculpture and then tell you the wild story of how this carving got infested with termites and shattered into pieces. Alright, let's get right into it. I carved this grizzly bear sculpture over a year ago, and if you haven't watched the full video, here's a 20-second clip of how this thing was carved. I started off by pouring 9 gallons of epoxy over this black walnut burl and then using various power tools to carve down this bear to size. This process took over 5 weeks to complete, and I love how the finished sculpture turned out. Check it out for yourself, and let me know what you think. Five months later, the client sends me this photo out of nowhere. This is termite poop, or if you're a termite snob, it's also called frass. So we ended up hiring a local pest control company to come out, and they basically bagged the sculpture and, from what I know, bug bombed it. And I went on my merry way. I spent the next 6 months carving some of my favorite pieces. I lost my fantasy football league, and a measly termite didn't even cross my mind. Until 6 months later. The client sent me a video of the termites back in full force. And before I could even think of the next step, the client, most likely frustrated with the situation, and rightfully so would I, shipped me back the sculpture in a cardboard box, which had a ton of visible damage from the outside showing up, but at least I caught the delivery driver on my ding cam. If anybody recognizes this guy, please let me know so I can report him to the authorities. Thanks, guys. As I unbox the sculpture, all my fears come to fruition. It's broken, and I mean seriously broken. It took so much damage that this 4-inch thick leg snapped in half, not to mention the front paw, the fish, and part of the bear's jaw. I'm just in shock and beyond frustrated at this point, but it's kind of a weird feeling because I don't know who I should be frustrated at. Should I be upset with the client for shipping this fragile sculpture in a cardboard box? Should I be upset with the shipping company and delivery drivers along the way? Or should all the blame kind of be put on myself because the termites started with my piece of walnut burl to begin with? What do you guys think? And just when I think it can't get any worse than this, just wait for what's in store next. Alright, I've had a couple days to think about this entire situation, and the problem started with me, and it's going to end with me. So I'm not only going to fix this sculpture, but I'm going to make it even better than it was previously. And here is Total Boat to the rescue. No clamps could hold this awkward glue up on the back leg, so I ended up just using some Total Boat forminated epoxy and just held it in place until it cured. Thank you, Total Boat. This glue up would have been very difficult without you. I then used some CA glue on the fish, fixed the lower jaw of the grizzly, and then started to carve away portions of the bear that had either moisture shrinkage or termite damage. It's really unclear to me at this point and hard to tell which is which. As all this sawdust begins to build up, I take the opportunity to collect it so I can fill up the missing pieces in the broken front paw. I'm not sure where these pieces went, but there's some pretty good sized chunks missing from that paw. And the best thing to do is mix a heavy dose of sawdust with some glue, and it will fill up and blend in seamlessly once the finish is applied. And it's not until this point that I realize I'm going to have to actually sand this entire sculpture down back to bare wood. So here I am, sanding this thing for the second time. Once the wood is completely resanded, it's time to address these termites. And huge shout out to John Malecki for these awesome shop shades. These are some of the best safety glasses on the market, and I'll have a link to these down in the description. Thanks, John. The crazy thing is right now, I can't seem to find a single hole in this entire sculpture that I think the termites are in. I've completely sanded, shot compressed air over the entire thing, and meticulously scoured the entire surface, and I haven't found a single hole or termite, or even termite poop, or frass for you termite experts. So what I'm attempting to do is just spray the entire thing with this termite killer, put it in a bag, suck out all the air, and then leave it in the hot California sun to bake for a week. While that's baking, let's start on baking. While that's baking, not bacon. Bacon sounds good. While that's baking, let's start this life-size bear, which will be made from acrylic. This thing is going to be a beast, and believe it or not, the base of this sculpture is going to be the most amount of work and the most complicated. It's going to have 3 tiered layers of wood with notched grooves going down the middle of the entire length. Side note here, I'm sure some of you might be wondering about what's going on with my wrist. I actually injured it during a recent spearfishing trip, and I really want to make a catch, cook, and carve video. Would you guys be interested in something like that? Where I go out, dive, spear a fish, cook a fish, and carve a fish? I think it could be pretty cool, but really only interested in doing it if you guys think it would also be cool. So let me know down in the comments. I don't consider myself a woodworker because I don't do any fancy joinery or build chairs or tables or anything like that. But all this woodworking I've been doing on this base really makes me want to just continue to never do it because I find it really boring and meticulous being all precise. For this sculpture, I'm teaming up again with Travis from Locomotion Creations. You may remember him from this sculpture we made a while ago.
Sharks with frickin' laser beams attached to their heads.
That's still got to be one of my favorite clips of all time. If you haven't watched that video already, be sure to check it out after this one. Travis programmed this bear logo and I made the first prototype using my X-Tool P2 laser. If this bear logo looks familiar, it should, because this is the logo of Mr. Cool. When Travis was over my shop working on the shark, he loved my Mr. Cool DIY ductless mini split. In fact, he loved it so much that when he got home, he got one for his own shop all the way across the country in New Jersey. The DIY ductless mini split is the perfect solution for homeowners that want total comfort in their space without the high cost of professional installation. Travis has got some goosebumps over there after his installation. I'm a proud supporter of Mr. Cool because I use this every single day in the shop and it allows me to work in a temperature-controlled environment not only in the hot summer months but also it heats up my shop in the cold winter months. Mr. Cool has supported my channel for a couple years now, and if you help my channel sponsors, you help me out as well. So if you're in the market for a system, be sure to check out Mr. Cool. I highly recommend them. And be sure to stick around because this little guy is coming up soon. Alright, once I saw all these off, the construction of the pedestal is pretty much complete, so let's go check on this bear. It's been a full week out in the sun and I'm hoping all the termites are gone, but when I open the bag, I notice some new holes in the bear's back. Like a seasoned detective, I grab my gloves and dental kit and get to investigating. Bullseye. I'm grossed out, but also find it awkwardly soothing finding these caves and continuing the search. It's a bit like Dr. Pimple Popper for me, searching and prodding at the next cavern. Which one will be filled with pus? I mean termites. Anybody else like watching Dr. Pimple Popper? Find it's just as therapeutic watching this? I shake out all the termite droppings and then bring it out for my second attempt at fumigation. This is actually how this spray is supposed to work. You put the little red tip as deep as you can in these holes and caverns and shoot the foam and just let the foam fill up all the space where you can't see. You see how the foam just sprayed out of the bottom section there? I like that. I also tried to do a different technique this time, actually vacuum bag it, trying to get all that foam trapped in there as tightly as possible. And you could see how much of a suction this vacuum bag gives. Really hoping that works. While the grizzly bakes in the sun in that vacuum bag, let's hop back over to the Mr. Cool bear sculpture. This got CNC'd out of 3/4 inch acrylic, and luckily I had my wife home to help me with my first test fit. Beautiful! That is perfect.
Nice fit.
Once the fit was good, I painted the pedestal, sanded down all the outside blue logo sections, and prepped them for painting. This sculpture is going to be the centerpiece at Mr. Cool's headquarters, and it'll be seen by a ton of people around the office every single day, so I want to make sure and make this the best I possibly can. Once all these sections were painted, it's time to let them dry, and let's go check on the grizzly bear. As soon as I opened the bag, I knew there was some damage. It got so hot in the sun, it ended up shrinking the wood and even cracking the epoxy in some areas. Funny thing is, I'm actually happy about this, because I think the heat will help kill the termites. And I'm also not worried about the cracks, because I'm going to have to re-epoxy this thing anyway, and epoxy will fill all those cracks and blend in seamlessly. I'm using Total Boat high performance epoxy with the fast hardener because I want this to cure as quickly as possible because I have so many different holes to fill on all different kinds of angles. I was shocked with how much epoxy I used, which means these caves evidently run pretty deep inside this sculpture. I began grinding away the epoxy, and in doing so I shaved off a hair of that wood, and you wouldn't believe it, more caves started coming out. And then a couple seconds after I found this gold mine, a live termite still living in his penthouse. I quickly ran and grabbed the spray foam and put him out of his misery. I plucked him out, went to the web to do my research, and I figured out that this is a drywood termite, this exact guy right here. After finding this live one, I know I need to really change up my strategy. So I decided to grind off an 1/8 inch up to a 1/4 of an inch off in some areas to see how many more termites and caves there are. Turns out there are a ton. I found one more. Luckily, it was dead. But after this, I knew I needed help. I spent over 3 hours, talked to 6 different fumigation companies on the phone, and finally found one that would be able to fumigate this sculpture. But it would cost a whopping $500 to do it. I weighed all my options and decided I had to do it because they basically guaranteed that this fumigation would eliminate all the termites inside this burrow. While that's getting fumigated, I'm going to do an experiment with the acrylic. I'm going to be sanding the edges of this acrylic in different grits to see which ones basically show the LED lights the most. And to my surprise, the higher the grit, the actually lower the visibility it was. Look on the far right here, you can see that it shines, it's a little bit duller and doesn't shine as bright as the really low grits. Once that was figured out, it's time to test fit this sculpture, and I was lucky enough to have my wife and mother-in-law over to basically do all the heavy lifting for me. Then it was just as simple as assembling all the different acrylic pieces. I used acrylic glue to secure all the pieces, and then I found these pretty cool white C-channels that I think are made for wiring and hiding wires. But I used them to cover parts of the acrylic that kind of show on the base of the pedestal. Then I made these little white inserts to hide these holes, and the only thing left to do after that was make a custom plaque. I just unboxed this X-Tool F1 laser and smoke purifier, and this is a huge addition to my shop. This laser allows me to etch metals and purify the air so I can now make all my future plaques in-house. Here it is etching 1/8 inch stainless steel with ease, and it came out flawlessly on my very first time working with this new machine. I'm thoroughly impressed with X-Tool. The only thing I'll do differently next time is polish the steel plate beforehand. This is the second X-Tool laser that I have, and I highly recommend their products if you're looking into lasers with ease of use, because these things are super easy to use and I am not a computer guy. With that, the only thing left to do is peel off this protective film on the acrylic, and then let's go ahead and pick up the grizzly bear because it should be completely done with its fumigation. Now that I know all the termites are completely eliminated, it's time to fill all these holes with epoxy and begin finishing this sculpture for the last time. In order to finish this thing right, I'm also going to have to resand the entire epoxy portion of this sculpture. which means starting at 320 grit and going all the way to 5000 for that beautifully translucent see-through finish of the epoxy. And here's the first glimpse of the Grizzly's new back, and honestly, I kind of like it. I think it gives the sculpture even more character, and I think once the finish is applied, it's going to look really cool. Speaking of finish, my finishing game has come a long way in only a year, and I do things much differently. I now use a glossy UV finish, which I think makes these wooden epoxy sculptures even more captivating. But I'll let you be the judge when you see the final reveal of this sculpture. Last but not least, I'm using some Total Boat UV resin to secure the fish in the Grizzly's jaw. And then we are finally done with this thing. Alright, let me know what you guys think about this video and let me know what you want to see me carve next. I'm really excited and leaning towards doing a catch, cook, and carve video. I think it could be really cool, but really only interested in doing it if you guys also think it would be worth watching. So let me know down in the comments. And without further ado, let's get to the big reveal.